Good morning, students. In today's class we are going to cover one of the topic on frequency independent antenna, that is log periodic antenna, and another category of antenna named microstrip antennas. Frequency independent antennas. So till now we have seen antennas which are designed for a specific frequency. Frequency independent antenna means these antennas can be used for a wide frequency range. So the use of simple, small, lightweight and economical antennas designed to operate over an entire frequency band of given system would be most desirable for many applications. Prior to 1950s, the antenna with broadband pattern and impedance characteristics had bandwidth not greater than 2:1 ratio. So in 1950s we had a breakthrough in the antenna evolution where we had a bandwidth extending from 4:1 ratio or more than this. The main reason for this breakthrough is the frequency independent antennas, where they had geometries that were specified only by certain angles. So these antennas are used in the frequency ranging from 10 to 10,000 megahertz, and they are used for various applications such as TV point-to-point communication, and they are also used as feeds for reflector antennas and lens antennas. The three major categories of frequency independent antennas are spiral antenna, helical antenna and log periodic antenna. Let us see in detail about the log periodic dipole array antenna called as LDPA antenna. A scientist named V.H. Rumsey, he defined that if any antenna is explained or defined only in terms of angles, then it should have a characteristics of frequency independence. So you can define a frequency independent antenna Fi as any antenna having its characteristics such as impedance, radiation pattern and hence the directivity to be a constant irrespective of frequency. So if any antenna is to have this characteristics of frequency independency, then it should either expand or contract in proportion to the wavelength. If the antenna structure is not mechanically adjustable, then the size of the active or the radiating region should be proportional to the wavelength. The geometry of the log periodic structure is chosen such that the electrical properties repeat itself periodically with the logarithm of frequency. That's why it is named as log periodic. So the characteristic is going to repeat itself over a period of frequency, logarithmic period of frequency. The design of LPDA involves a basic geometric structure that is repeated but with a changing size of the structure. So changing size of the structure can be either expansion or contraction by a constant scale factor. So this is the diagrammatic representation of LDPA antenna, where we have a number of dipoles arranged where the length of the dipole is having an increase. So the length and the spacing between the dipoles are arranged such that the angle alpha, which is represented as included angle, is going to remain constant irrespective of any frequency. So the spacing is represented by the parameter S. The spacing between the dipoles is S, and the spacing of the dipole element from the vertex, it is represented by the parameter R. So we have different regions represented in the diagram. I included transmission region represented as number 1, number 2 the loaded transmission region, number 3 the active region, and number 4 the reflective region. So these regions are defined based on the lengths of the dipole elements available in the log periodic structure. And there is also the radiation pattern which is given. You can see that the radiation pattern is maximum in the backward direction, and in the direction towards the dipole array we have a minor radiation. So the dimension of the LDPA antenna increase in proportion to the distance from the origin. It has a number of dipoles of different lengths and spacings, and it is fed by a balanced two-wire transmission line. In the diagram we saw that there was cross in between, so that indicates the transpose between each adjacent pair of dipoles. And it is fed at the narrow end. At the broader end it is not fed, it is fed at the narrow end. The dipole length increases along the antenna such that the included angle alpha is remaining constant. The length and the spacings are graduated in such a way that certain dimensions of adjacent elements bear a constant ratio to each other. The dimensions are length L and the spacings R, or it is also represented as S. So what is R? R is the distance of the dipole element from the origin, and S is the spacing between the dipole elements. So the length and spacings are adjusted such that the ratio between them is going to remain constant, and also the angle, included angle alpha, is going to remain constant. So the scale factor or the design ratio or periodicity factor is designed by tau, whose value will be always less than unity. The dipole lengths and spacings are related by the formula Rn by Rn plus 1 is equal to Ln by Ln plus 1, which is equal to tau. So the inverse of this parameter is represented as a constant k. That is Sn plus 1 by Sn, which is equal to Ln plus 1 by Ln, is equal to k. So since tau is always less than 1, k has to be greater than 1. The typical value of the included angle alpha is 30 degree, and the typical value of the parameter scale factor tau is 0.7. So the log periodic implies the impedance is a logarithmic periodic function of the frequency. So in the diagram you can see it is the plot of impedance versus the logarithm of frequency. So log f versus the input impedance. You can see that it is having a sine wave structure. That is, it is the impedance value or the standing wave ratio, it is getting repeated itself as the logarithm of frequency. So the magnitude of the logarithmic frequency is represented either as log 1 by tau or sometimes half of log 1 by tau also. So if we see that two consecutive maximas or minimas occurs, the frequency at which the consecutive maximas occurs, if we represent as f1 and f2, and these frequency are related as log of f2 by f1 is equal to log of 1 by tau, or f2 by f1 is equal to 1 by tau, which is giving a relation between the maxima frequencies as f1 is equal to tau times f2, where f2 is going to be always greater than f1. So what is the meaning of log periodicity? Log periodicity means the impedance is going to repeat itself as a function of logarithm of frequency, which means whatever the log periodic antenna is having the characteristics at a given frequency f, the same parameters or values will be available at frequency tau power n into f or f by tau power n, where n is any integer. So this is the basic property of any LDPA antenna. The analysis of the log periodic dipole array can be done by considering three main regions of the antenna, namely the transmission line region, also called as inactive region, active region and reflective region. So first we will concentrate on the transmission line region or the inactive region, where the length is going to be less than half the wavelength, that is L is less than lambda by 2. So since the antenna element size is very small with respect to the resonant length, that is lambda by 2, the elements will present entirely a high capacitive impedance. We know that the impedance offered by the dipole elements can be either inductive, capacitive or resistive. So in this condition where L is less than lambda by 2, it is going to offer a high capacitive impedance. The element current is going to be small and it leads the base voltage by 90 degree. The spacing between the elements also is going to be small. Since the spacing and the length is small, we will be having a small radiation that is occurring in the backward direction. Moving on to the second region, which is the active region, where the length is approximately equal to the resonant length. The impedance offered by the element is resistive in nature. So since it is resistive in nature, we will have the resonance occurring. Resonance means we will have the maximum current at that point, and the current just below the resonance will be slightly leading, and the current above the resonance will be slightly lagging behind the voltage. The spacings between the elements are large so that it offers a strong radiation towards the backward direction. The third region is the inactive reflective region, where the length of the dipole element is greater than the resonant length, that is lambda by 2. So the element size is greater so that the impedance is inductive. The current in the element lags behind the base voltage. Only a small amount of incident wave from the active region is reflected back. So the radiation will be very, very small. So let us see some of the characteristics of LDPA. So log periodic antenna is excited from the shorter length side or the high frequency side for one region LDPA, and at the center for two active region LDPA. So when we use the excitation at the shorter length, a single excitation at the shorter portion, then we will have a single active region. Instead of a shorter length side, if we excite at the center, that is in the active region, we will be having two active regions available for the LDPA antenna. There are infinite variety of LDPA structures that are available, but all will not have the property of frequency independence. So log periodic antenna can be either unidirectional or bidirectional. In case of unidirectional, the structure will fire a strong radiation in the backward direction. In case of bipolar log periodic antenna, maximum radiation is available at the broader side. Broader side means we will have the maximas normal to the surface of the antenna. The transmission line in active region must have proper characteristic impedance with negligible radiations. In the active region, the current's magnitude and the phasing should be proper so that strong radiation occurs along the backward direction and zero or negligible radiation that occurs in the forward direction. This is the case for the unidirectional, and if it is bidirectional, the arrangement has to be made such that it offers a maxima in the broadside direction. The typical values for the spacing is lambda by 4 and phase is 90 degrees. In case of bidirectional log periodic antenna, the phase has to be 0. And in the inactive region, there should be a rapid decay of current within this range for a successful frequency independent antenna. That is, the structure should be truncated effectively. So these are some of the characteristics of LDPA, or the log periodic dipole array antenna. The design parameters of the LDPA antennas are tau, alpha and sigma. So these are the design formulas of LDPA antenna, where the ratios of the length spacings should be equal to 1 by tau. Sigma in terms of included angle alpha is equal to 1 minus tau by 4 tan alpha by 2, and the included angle alpha is equal to 2 times tan inverse of 1 minus tau by 4 sigma. Moving on to the next category of antenna, which is microstrip, also called as patch antenna. So there are many applications where we need a very small size, less weight antenna, which can be mounted either on a spacecraft or any aircraft applications. So microstrip patch antenna is one of the main antenna which are utilized for all these applications. These antennas can be easily flush mounted on to a metal or any existing surface, and they only require space for the feed line. So though it is having many advantage that it has a less size, small weight, the cost is less, it also has a disadvantage that its efficiency is very less and the bandwidth is going to be very narrow. So the microstrip or the patch antenna or popular low profile antenna which is used for applications at the frequency above 100 MHz or wavelength ranging less than 3 meters. They usually consist of a rectangular metal patch on a dielectric coated ground plane or a circuit board. It consists of a very thin metal strip called as patch, where the thickness is going to be very small, that is T less than lambda, and placed on a small fraction of wavelength of a height h less than lambda above a ground plane. So you can see that in the diagrammatic representation where we have a patch. This patch is photo etched on the dielectric substrate. The strip or the patch and the ground plane are separated by a dielectric sheet referred as substrate. And the second diagram gives a side view of the patch with the length of the patch L, thickness of the patch T, height of the dielectric substrate represented as small h, and the feed point where it is fed by a coaxial line. So using a microstrip or patch antenna, either a linear polarization or a circular polarization can be achieved. Instead of using a single microstrip, if we go for an array of microstrip antennas, we can have a greater directivity, and those array of microstrip can be either fed individually or it can be multiple. As the thickness of the microstrip is normally very small, the input wave which is given will undergo some reflections at the edges of the microstrip. So all the incident energy will not be radiated. So this becomes a major drawback for a microstrip or a patch antenna. So patch antenna acts as a resonant lambda by 2 parallel plate microstrip transmission line with a characteristic impedance equal to the reciprocal of the number of parallel field transmission lines. So each field transmission line has a characteristic impedance represented by Z0, which is equal to the intrinsic impedance of the medium. The characteristic impedance Z0 is given by the formula Z0 is equal to eta, which is square root of mu by epsilon. Substituting the expression for mu naught and epsilon naught, we get the formula as Z0 is equal to 120 pi square root of mu r by epsilon r. In the diagrammatic representation, you can see that the microstrip antenna is subdivided into slots with n square fields, and number of slots available in the diagram is 10. So substituting n is equal to 10, we get the expression for the characteristic impedance of the patch antenna as Zc is equal to Z0 by eta square root of epsilon r, giving us the answer Zc is equal to 26.63 ohms. So in terms of L and T, that is the length of the microstrip patch antenna and the thickness, we can write the expression for Zc as Zc is equal to Z0 T by L square root of epsilon r, where n is equal to L by T. So the radiation pattern of the patch is going to be broad, that is the maxima is going to occur normal to the axis of the antenna. So the typical value of the beam area is half of pi steradian. So D is equal to 4 pi by omega A, which is 4 pi by pi, which is giving you the answer as 4. So when we convert this 4 into decibels, we get the expression for the directivity of a microstrip antenna as 6.021 decibels. The radiation conductance, which is the inverse of the radiation resistance of a microstrip antenna, is given by the formula G is equal to 1 by 90 omega by lambda the whole square when the angular frequency is less than lambda, and G is equal to 1 by 120 omega by lambda for angular frequency, which is greater than the wavelength lambda. The major limitation of the microstrip antenna is its narrower frequency bandwidth. So the bandwidth of a microstrip or the patch antenna can be increased by any one of these following steps, that is by increasing the thickness h of the parallel plate transmission line. Second method is by the use of high dielectric constant epsilon r substrate, so that the physical dimensions of the parallel plate line are reduced. Number 3, by increasing the inductance of the microstrip by cutting holes or a slot in the microstrip, which we get new type of antenna called a slot antenna. So by adding a reactive component to reduce the voltage standing wave ratio. So these are all different methods to increase the bandwidth of a microstrip or patch antenna. So to increase the directivity, we can go for multiple microstrip radiators as a cascade to form an array, which can be a single fed or multiple fed. Thank you.